live. Yeah. Let's go ahead and start the countdown. Starting in 1 minute, less than a minute. Hang tight. I'm like way better. Oh, no, God. I do that every time. Welcome to the Happy Hour Show. This show, what's up, Richie? Yeah, I miss you, bro. The Happy Hour Show is a show that I started 3 years ago or so, and I think we can all agree that we need to get back to a time where we focus more on happiness again like we used to. Especially nowadays. So it was a show that aired on the radio for a few months, and we talked about everyday things, but how it also how it tied into our happiness as well. So anyhow, here it is, the Happy Hour Show, and we want to welcome everybody who is watching. We appreciate you guys, and we want to remind you, of course, that we are on YouTube, and that our YouTube channel has almost 200 videos, so make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, all that. So thanks again for joining us. If you're just now joining us for the first time, especially if you've been joining us for a while, make sure you like and share the video as you go. Thanks for the thumbs up, whoever gave it to us. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. What's up, Raven? Again, this show is going to, from now on, air on it's gonna air on Monday and on Friday. Thank you, wife. So
you suck.
Yeah, I know we suck. we Okay, alright, so yeah, we suck because, for example, we normally have a guest in the beginning of the show. With the guest, we play a game. What's up, David? And at the end of the game, there's a winner or a loser, and then at the end of the loser, there's a penalty, like being smacked in the face with whipped cream was one of the penalties of a previous show, or being smacked in the face with eggs. You know, who knows? Maybe in the future, shaving one of my eyebrows. Like, first off, if you guys, let me wave to David. If you have ideas on penalties or games that we can play, please go ahead and pitch them. If you want to be in our show, then go ahead and let us know. We would love to have you on as a guest. Again, on the show, we're going to have games, and then we're going to talk about things that are going on in our lives. And then, of course, we have a moment where we talk about happiness. Today, I got one of these bad boys from the White House, baby. Yeah. And I even got Mr. Donald Trump's signature on the back, baby. What? I'm moving up in the world. But my favorite part was in the back. It's in Spanish. Or as I like to call it, it's in Mexican. So of course I was obligated to read the entire letter in Spanish, even though I articulate better in English. And I recommend that you do too if you got one of these in the mail. Or at the very least, read them in like this accent. No, that's not the right accent. That's like Russian. Well, maybe he don't like that. No, you should read them in like orale. This is the White House. Okay, I'm still somehow moving to Russian. Anyhow, so we don't have a guest today. Let's go ahead and get into our mental health topic of today. Just to recap previous topic, in the past we determined that 40% of our happiness is determined by stuff that we can control. Only 10% is based on circumstances. So if I knew that you're rich and have an amazing career and 2.4 children and the house with the white picket fence, and I still could only determine with a 10% accuracy how happy you are. And 50% of it is genetics. And we're actually going to talk about this, how even this can be changed. But let's focus again on the circumstances. We know that we can control some of this thanks to this gangster. Snoop Dogg. We talked about him in the past and how he actually taught us the ABCs of happiness. We often still subscribe to this belief that we will have events that take place in our lives, and they will make us feel a particular way, that they'll have certain consequences, overlooking that it's this belief that we have that actually contributes to our happiness or unhappiness. So we're going to talk more about that in another day. We're also going to talk about how this B is commonly inaccurate. We don't tell ourselves the truth about what's going on.
You can't handle the truth.
And we'll talk about why we can't handle the truth. But today we're going to talk more about the brain. And in order to talk about the brain, I want to introduce you to Franz Joseph Gall. Franz Joseph Gall. I'm sucking in accents today. I've been drinking. Franz is actually a German doctor who he spent most of his life feeling up on people's heads. And just so you know, no, he was not a massage therapist, and he also was not a hairstylist, and no, he did not have some weird head fetish, because that would be creepy.
Oh my god, that is so creepy!
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah. Actually, Francis Joseph Gall ended up being what's known as a phrenologist. He was the first phrenologist, which is, or was, the science of someone's scalp being related to personality traits or likes and dislikes or talents. What Joseph Gall believed was that certain areas of your brain are dedicated to certain functions and beliefs and likes and dislikes and attributes. And what he thought was that if you had a certain area, let's say in my case, I definitely have an area dedicated to sleep. If this was a true science, I would have an area dedicated to sleep, and it would be like really well developed, and that would cause a deformity in my scalp. My scalp would literally overdevelop in a certain area, and because of that, I would have a hill. On another side, let's say if I had a deformity of, let's say, exercise is a good one, or the ability to say no to donuts. I've got some Krispy Kreme right over here. That would actually lead to a curvature in the scalp. And he believed that certain areas of the brain, again, and the scalp were dedicated to these certain functions, beliefs, talents, abilities, likes, and dislikes. And so he thought that once he mapped those areas out, that he could figure out what your hi Alexis. So he thought that you could develop or realize what a person was striving in and know their likes and dislikes just by touching their scalp. Now, believe it or not, this science actually took off and was practiced for several decades, at least 2 decades after. Franz became somewhat of a celebrity. Yeah, he was pretty well known in the science community. What's up, Erica? The wave out of her. So he became kind of with my hands on my fingers and my mind on my fingers, or my fingers on my mind and I don't know. I can't rap. I'm very Caucasian. But he did become kind of a celebrity in the world of phrenology. Now, phrenology was later dismissed as a cult pseudoscience, and this was done the way that you dismiss any science as no longer true, just by having enough data. So, for example, if hi Alexis, if let's say for example you have an area of the brain that's what she said part of your brain that you love those jokes, and then they say, okay, so it must be this region, and because I found this other guy who also likes that's what she said jokes, and he or she also, I'm sorry I scared you, Erica. He also has this area of their brain like really, or scalp really, so you start to see what's called correlation versus causation. So you say, okay, the conclusion is this area of your brain or this area of the brain is for memes. But once you get more data, what you end up finding is that you get another person who also loves memes, but their scalp isn't overly developed here. Or maybe they don't like that's what she said jokes and this area is not developed. So when you get enough data, you can eliminate things that are correlated versus caused by. So again, this guy... Erica, did I scare you again? This guy's science was dismissed again as pseudoscience, but he was a gangster because of 2 things. The first of which is in his era, we barely had a consensus that the brain was actually like the headquarters of, or the consensus of the self. Previous to him and others, we thought things like the heart or the soul or the bile. Sorry, Erica. Yeah, the bile, that stuff that you vomit when you have a hangover. We thought that would be possibly related to the self. But thanks to Franz, what's up, Andres? Say hi to him and wave. But thanks to Franz, we found out, or we've now accomplished that, yes, there are certain areas of the brain that are dedicated to localized function. Now, let me one more time key in localized function. There is no memes area or personality trait area of the brain, but there are certain localized functions that are dedicated to certain areas of the brain. And we are going to go into more details on this on Friday, because again, we're shooting on Mondays and Fridays. And we got to remember that this is going to tie in to how we tell ourselves these incorrect beliefs that sometimes do not serve us. Or more importantly, what we're going to talk about is the mind versus the brain and how they correlate with one another, feed one another, and so on and so forth. But Friday, how we're going to inch our way towards those 2 topics is by talking about Phineas. No, not that Phineas. Actually, we're going to talk about this Phineas. Yeah. He is definitely... Phineas is scary. Yeah, you better run, because he is super creepy.
Oh my god, that is so creepy! Oh no!
I keep using the same stock footage, whatever, it's a budget. But we're actually... Phineas Gage is one of the windows on how scientists started to correlate the fact that certain areas of your brain were determining certain functions going on. You like the other one better? Which one? The Kevin Hart one? I love that guy. So Phineas Gage, we're going to talk more about him on Friday. I'm also going to introduce you to some baby kittens, so you got to make sure that you stay tuned for that. And we're going to have Gina Nevers, my wife. She's going to be a guest. So we'll actually be playing a game. Yay! Is that the one you like better, Erica? Okay, so tune in again for our next show. The happy hour is taking place on Friday. We're almost at the end of our show. I do want to remind you guys again that if you enjoyed our show, that you always like our show, share our show, all that good stuff. Yes, woohoo, Gina. So make sure that if you enjoyed this video and you share, and we're out. Bye, guys. Love you.
There's a girl I really wanted in my world, and this friend should have been the two